Welcome back everybody to a Warhammer video. Today we're talking about the Dwarven Mountain Hold pre-orders because this has implications not in the old world, the game that it is designed for, but actually in Age of Sigmar. So I'm going to share that information with you, what's coming, what can it actually be used for in Age of Sigmar, and whether or not it's going to be worth the price and your time to do this. Okay, so here we are on the Warhammer pre-order page, and we can see the Dwarven Mountain Holds are now available for pre-order as of yesterday. And there's a bunch of different options in here. It says temporarily out of stock already for the battalion, but you know what? Your friendly local gaming store is going to have it too, hopefully, so whatever. But there's a ton of different things here that you can get. They're all on square bases, as is the case with the old world stuff. But what's really cool is that you can actually use these models for Cities of Sigmar. And you're thinking, okay, well, yeah, some of these are the exact models that were used in Cities of Sigmar. I could build out my dwarf army with this, and that is exactly right. But we could also use them as human proxies if we really wanted to, right? So for example, if you take something like this big old Battle Force battalion box, whatever, you straight up get two gyrocopters, or the gyrocopter and gyro bomber, that you could put onto a circle base and you can start using them. The rules are in Age of Sigmar, and they will be for the whole edition because we have the index. Even if they came out in the book, you could still play the other rules, you know, depending on where you are. If you're a tournament player, then this video is really not going to be for you because you're probably going to be using whatever exactly they want you to use. But for everybody that's out there doing narrative, everybody out there having fun with their friends, or in, you know, casually at their friendly local gaming store, then this is still going to, and even at a Games Workshop store, because guess what? Like, these are still, you know, Games Workshop models. So if you proxy them for something else, as long as your opponent's okay with it, and you're telling them that, for example, here, we've got all of our little Querlers, or whatever they're called. They could be your Fusiliers. Like, why not? If you rebase them. Now, keep in mind that all of these, all the Dwarven units in Age of Sigmar are on 25mm bases, and that's the same as the Free Guild Steel Helms. But if you want to put them on a bigger base, I think it's 32 for the Fusiliers, then you'll have to do that. But you have all of these options here, because if you buy this, like, okay, so like we were saying, if we look at what you actually get in this box, you get the two gyrocopters, or gyro bombers, 32 dwarf warriors, 32 dwarf thunderers, which could be the quarrelers, and then the transfer sheet, which is probably really rad. I would imagine we could probably see it if we scroll up here. So you can build these as all your dwarf units, right, and build your dwarf army. And you could also build them as your human army if you really, really wanted to. And you get so many things here, including this really rad transfer sheet. Or maybe you're just thinking that you want to get a smaller amount of units. Maybe you're like me and you're thinking it would be so cool to have my human sculpts, like the new ones, but then one regiment of dwarves. Like, that's what I kind of really want to get into. And you have that option as well. So for example, we have the dwarf hammerers here, and the way that these hammerers can be built, you get 20 of them, right? Which is going to be 2 entire units, or a reinforced unit in Age of Sigmar. You get 2 of these, okay? And you can build these as 20 hammers, as 20 longbeards, or you could build 10 of each. And again, those are both already units in Age of Sigmar. So they show them here being 10 of each. They show them being 20 of one. They show them, being 20 of others. So you can build these the way that you want to. Similarly, with the Iron Breakers, you can build these as your Iron Drakes. You can build them as your Iron Breakers. You can do 20 of one. You can do 20 of the other, or you can mix and match and do 10 of each. So it's actually pretty economical buy. Like, if you were to buy a box of these in Age of Sigmar, which you can't because they're not available like freaking anywhere, well, that's fine. You can buy these 50 each if you think about it, 50 per 10. And that's actually a better deal than you would normally get for a unit of 10 of Age of Sigmar units or models. Instead, you're getting them for cheaper in this bundle here. So what you could really do here is, if you wanted a little dwarf force here, if you bought the 2 boxes here that's $200. Let's say you're going to do that. You've already got 4 units, and then you buy a dwarf runesmith for $35, and you've got a general's regiment with 4 units of dwarves. Or maybe you just want the iron breakers or whatever. I mean, I would probably go iron breakers and hammers if I was going to do it, because if you bring the hammers, I believe they give a 5-up ward for the dwarf hero that they're with. So I was thinking it would be really cool to have a rune lord and then some iron breakers, some hammers, and you have a little bit of an anvil. You obviously have the hammer, and you have a priest, and priests are so good in the new edition. So I think that would be really cool to do. The one thing that's going to be kind of tricky here is that there isn't a exact 1-for-1 for the Warden King. And so, you could buy this Dwarf Thane with handgun on Oathstone, and yeah, the Warden King doesn't have, doesn't actually have a gun, but there's customization that could be done. He's got an axe on his back. He's still going to fit the theme, and it's going to look really, really cool. Otherwise, you have some other options. I mean, they have this really, really cool Dwarf Lords, and so it comes with 2 models. It's not really the most economical for just getting 1 model that you need. The Dwarf Lord on the actual shield bearers is going to be probably too big for a Warden King, but then there's the Dwarf Lord on foot right in front of him. As you can see, there's also a really cool flame cannon if you wanted a proxy for your Ironweld's Great Cannon. And then there's the Slayer King, which would be an epic model to be playing in Age of Sigmar, but obviously fits more Fire Slayers than it does, with Cities of Sigmar. But again, it's your game. You can do whatever you want. And because you're proxying official Games Workshop miniatures, there's going to be, less stress if you're playing, like, for example, one of the stores that I would go to in my local area, well, not even in my local area, I have to drive like 45 minutes, is a Games Workshop store, and there's a really cool community there, but obviously you can't play with proxies from other games or 3D printed. You have to play with your Games Workshop stuff. So, this is a happy medium of where you're playing with stuff that you want, accessing those dwarf units, or maybe just getting a battalion and doing your own thing with your cities, because there's so many questions. People are asking, how do I play dwarves? Is it a bad idea to play dwarves? What am I going to get them? Because they're out of stock. I was wondering the same thing myself. Well, now we have an avenue for us to, get into those models. The final question that we have to answer is, should you get into the dwarves? And there's so many different schools of thoughts here, because some people think they are long gone by the time the battletome comes out, and I don't quite believe that. I really do believe that we're going to get a dwarven refresh. I don't think they want us using identical like-for-like models in both games, but there is a chance that they just get upgraded to brand new sculpts in Age of Sigmar. And it kind of makes sense, because when you think about the Cities of Sigmar, they don't necessarily have units of hammerers and, iron breakers and all of these different things. The dwarves are just, a lot of them, first of all, are in different types of roles, right? A lot of them have to do with the actual moving cities in the Crusades and all the tech behind that, the weaponsmithing, all that kind of stuff. They're helping in those roles. But also, they're more just like their own little units of dwarves that are dispossessed, and they're not necessarily this like official dwarf military anymore. And it's kind of the same thing with the elves. They're not, all corsairs, or I mean, there are corsairs in the cities, but they're kind of acting independently. Honestly, the elves make a lot more sense to be going their own way, but that's not what this video is about. So we're going to talk about the dwarves. So, my personal opinion is we're going to get new dwarf sculpts, and these ones could be proxied as the new dwarves. But there's also the possibility that we just lose dwarves altogether. They get their own faction, or they get, chaos dwarves, or, whatever it is. And in that case, you've bought these things. Guess what? You're still going to be okay. One, because if you buy them now, you're going to play with them for 2 to 3 years, and that's not going to be a problem, because they're going to be in the rules. Right? They're not going out of the rules. So you're going to be fine in that specific instance. The second reason is that what we're talking about already is that these can be proxied as your other cities units if you absolutely need to. The steel helms and the dwarves, they all share the same base size, so you're already good there. And there's some minor adjustments if you want to use them as, let's say, Fusiliers or something to that effect. If you want to use your Rune Lord, instead as a battle mage, you're going to be fine, because they're also on 25mm bases. So that's kind of it. I wanted to make this video because I see people ask about dwarves on Reddit literally like every couple of days on the Cities of Sigmar Reddit, there's somebody asking, are dwarves going to stay in? Should I play dwarves? I want to play dwarves, but I don't know where to find them, or something along those lines. Well, guess what? They're available. You can get them now. And there's other ways to get them too, you know, if you 3D print or something like that, if you really want to play them. And my advice to you is to just do the rule of cool. Play the models that you want to play. We've just started this edition. We have some awesome rules written for dwarves. This is the time to be playing them. And if they go out of the army, then you've had them for a long time. And again, you can use them in cities. You can use them in old world. You can just pivot, whatever it is. Those are going to be available to you. Don't worry about it. Enjoy yourself if that's truly what you want to do and you're really psyched up about the dwarves. Okay, that's going to be it. I'm going to be back though with another video soon. I know it's been a little bit since my last one, but I am going to get one more before I go on vacation this week. So we'll see you all again very soon.